Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, before we get started, the only thing that you will need to do is download the color palette, which I have linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just open up the file that downloads and it'll automatically import into Procreate so that you have all the same colors as you follow along with the video. So take a second to go and grab that and then come back and we'll get started. First things first, we'll go over the canvas dimensions. They are 8 inches wide by 10 inches high at 300 dpi. The color profile that we're using is the second one on the RGB list. And the layers, by the end of the video, we've used about 10 layers, so make sure you have that many available by checking here. If you do not, you can lower your DPI here to get more layers. This is the color palette that we will be using in the video today. So to get started, to kind of explain what we're going to do, we're going to have this upper 2/3 be the sky with the moon and the stars. The bottom third is going to be the water with the reflection. And in the middle, we're going to have this little bank area where there's essentially like houses with their lights on the bank of the water. So we're going to start with that part. So on our color palette, let's grab the second color on the top row. And we are going to be on layer 1. We are going to grab the selection tool, have it set to rectangle with color fill turned on, and then about 1/3 up the canvas. On the very left side outside of the canvas, we're going to start drawing a rectangle. Draw it all the way across, going off the right side. About this thick is all, and then let it go and have that fill in. Same layer, same color. Let's grab our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. Set the size to maybe 60 to 70%. And we're going to leave the top line very straight, but this bottom line we do want to be wavier. So I'm just going to kind of start, nothing perfect at all. This is like the bank going into the water. And then go ahead and grab your color and fill it in. So this is all one big shape. Next, go back to the layer menu, click on this layer, turn on alpha lock, and then go into the color palette and select the third color on the top row. In the brushes menu, go down to the charcoals menu and select the 2B compressed charcoal brush, set to maybe 20%. And we are just going to lightly, horizontally back and forth, go over this entire area, focusing mostly on the top section. So this bottom part we'll leave mostly dark, but this top section especially, we want this lighter color. And this is going to be, you know, the light reflecting from the lights on the shore here, where our houses are going to be, or the lights from our houses. So that is our first step, and I just wanted to do that so that we could see it more easily, because now we are going to add the background color, which is going to make it very dark. So now that that is done, we can move on. So let's go to our layer menu, find this background color layer, click on it and select the first color on the color palette. So this is the really dark bluish gray, and that'll fill everything in, which makes it a little bit more difficult for us to see everything. Next, we are going to add the lights to our houses. So let's add a new layer on top of this layer. We still want to be on this third color on the top row. And with our brush, we are going to go to the luminance brushes, and we are going to click on the flare brush. We have that set to maybe 10%, and we are going to, very close to our top line here from this shape that we created, we are just going to click a little bit above it. We want a little bit of space beneath it so that it looks like it's above our shoreline here. And we are just going to go down the way. Try to space them out about as evenly as you can. All the way down. So I ended up fitting 7 all the way across. They aren't perfect. Some are a little higher than others, but that's okay. Okay, and then with those there now, we are going to draw some reflection in our water. So let's go to the layer menu, add a new layer, drag it below both of our layers, right above the background layer. Same color, we are going to switch our brush again. We are going to go to the soft airbrush under the airbrushing category. So the skinnier one down here, not the first soft brush, but this soft airbrush here. Set the size to maybe 20%. And I'm going to start on the left, and I am just going to draw a line starting in the water about halfway through, maybe a little further, and just draw it up towards the light, getting a little bit thicker and brighter as it gets closer to the light. I'm going to click edit shape and move it over just a little bit so it lines up a little bit better. I want to do that each time, and I'm going to start at like a different area. So this one I'll start a little closer, but again starting out light and then pushing harder as it gets closer to the light. And we are holding our pen down at the end to turn it into a perfectly straight line. And again, just keep clicking edit shape if you need to move them over. So about like this. Okay. And we are going to go to our layer menu. This layer that we're on here, we're going to click the N on the layer and drag the opacity down to about 50%. We don't want the lines to be quite that bright, so that is what we will set it to. That looks a lot nicer. On that layer menu, let's add another new layer right above this one, below our bank. Same color, third one on the top row, and we are going to switch to our ocean brush under the elements category. Maybe that's set to about 40%. And we are just going to very lightly add some little waves, focusing pretty close to all these light areas to add some light colored waves, but a little bit here and there elsewhere as well. About like that. Make sure your canvas is straight up and down when you're doing this, otherwise the waves will be crooked. On that same layer, let's grab our black color, the second one on the top row, and we'll add some waves in that color as well. It might be kind of hard for you to see them on the screen with me, but you should be able to see them on your own drawing. But that adds some good texture to our water. So we are going to move on to our moon now. So let's find the top of our layers on our layer menu and add a new layer above it. So on top of everything. And we are going to grab this first color on the second row. And we're going to switch back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. Whatever size it's at is fine. And we're just going to draw a perfect circle. So draw a circular shape. Hold your pen down, touch your finger to the screen to make it a perfect circle. About this size, and then let it go. And then I'm going to click the arrow tool. I have snapping turned on down here, and then I'm just going to drag it around until I see this vertical yellow line that shows that it's in the center of the screen. And then I'm going to drag and drop this color to fill in the circle. When that's done, go ahead and click on this layer in the layer menu, turn on alpha lock, and then we are going to grab the second color on the second row And we are going to switch our brush to the soft brush under the airbrushing category, set to about 15%. And we're just going to lightly, in this top upper right section, add this color in kind of a circular motion like this. Then let's go ahead and grab this third color on the second row and do the same thing a little bit further out. And then let's grab the fourth color on the second row and we'll add that on this side of the moon in the same way. And then lastly, to add a real nice pop, we will grab this third color on the top row and we'll add that just on the very, very edge of the upper right section here to really make that pop. Now to add some texture to our moon, we will add a new layer on the layer menu. Click on it, turn it into a clipping mask, and we're going to grab this fourth color on the first row here. Back to our layer menu on this layer that we're on, we're going to click on the N and drag it up to multiply. And then we are going to grab under the organic section the clay brush. We are going to set that to about 20%. And we are just going to draw this all over our moon to give it some nice texture. Like so. And then let's add a new layer on the layer menu. Same thing, turn it to a clipping mask, and again, click on this N and change it up to multiply. And then this time we are going to grab the spray paints section, the splatter brush. We have that at about 50%. And we are just going to add some of this as well. Just focusing on certain areas. We're not going to really make it too crazy all over the thing. Okay, that looks pretty good. So next we are going to go back to our layer menu and we are going to go back to this original circle layer, make a duplicate of it. Select the one on the bottom, click on it, turn off alpha lock. And then we are going to grab the wand tool, click on Gaussian blur. If you have the old version of Procreate, you need to click on layer. If you have the new one, it doesn't ask you for that anymore, but if you need to, you can click layer to get to this screen. And then we are going to slide this up to about 20 to 25%. And it's not quite bright enough, so I'm going to go to the layer menu and just make a duplicate of this blurry layer that we just created to make it a little bit brighter. We can go ahead and on the layer menu, we can slide those two layers together to merge them. We don't need them both. And then let's add a new layer. You can put it anywhere. Let's just drag it to the top of the screen. We don't want it to be a clipping mask though, so this one turned into a clipping mask automatically. Just go ahead and click on it and turn that off. And then we're going to go back to our bright color here, the third one on the top row. And for our brush, we are going to go back to the airbrushing category. We are going to go back to the soft airbrush here. We are going to leave the size where it was at about 20. And we are going to draw some stars in the sky. So some of them I will just touch my brush to the screen until it makes a mark. And then others I'll hold it down a little bit longer and push a little harder to make it a little bit brighter. But some of them we're just going to have very faint stars. We're just going to scatter these throughout the sky. And lastly, we need to add a little bit of reflection down in the water. First, we're going to make a reflection of the stars. So let's go to our layer menu, this star layer that we just made. make a duplicate, click on the arrow tool, click flip vertical, and let's drag this down over the water. However it kind of fits, we'll just add it so there's just a few showing here. Most of them went off the screen, and that's okay. Click the arrow tool to kind of deselect it, and then click on the wand tool. We're going to do Gaussian blur again, and again click layer if you need to, and then we'll just drag this up to maybe 10% just to kind of make them look more like a reflection in the water. And then on this same layer, might as well, we can grab the first red color here on our second row, and we are going to now go back to our soft brush that we were using on the moon earlier at about 15%, and we will just right at the very edge in the center of our water down here, add some of that red color, go back, grab the second color on the second row, add a little bit of that, and then the third color, add a little bit of that, kind of staying on the same sides here, but it doesn't have to be too perfect or anything. We just want a little bit of reflection. And then let's go ahead and grab the darker color to this fourth one on the last row, add a little bit of that over here. For the heck of it, you can't really see it well, but we have a nice little reddish glow with our few little colors in there. And that is the last step of our drawing. I hope you had fun. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me in the future. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it and then tag me so that I can check it out. While you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching.